How Google became $1 trillion success story. Before we start, I would want you to hit that red subscribe button so that you never miss out on any of our videos. No technology company is arguably more responsible for shaping the modern internet and modern life than Google. The company that started the novel search engine now manages 8 products with more than 1 billion users each. Many of those people use Google software to search the repository of human knowledge, communicate, perform work, consume media, and maneuver the endlessly vast internet in 2018. On Tuesday, September 4, Google turned 20 years old, marking one of the most staggeringly influential runs for any corporation in history. As Alphabet, the holding company of which Google is now subsidiary, steadily rises to join Apple and Amazon in the $1 trillion market valuation territory, we're reflecting on all the moments in Google's past that led to its position as the peak of industries as diverse as mapping, self-driving cars, and smartphone operating systems. This isn't a comprehensive history of Google's past 20 years, but it's an approximation of the company's biggest product launches, legal quagmires, and instrumental acquisitions that have turned into a Silicon Valley powerhouse that will likely last for many decades to come. August 1996, Larry Page and Sergey Brin launched Google on Stanford University's network. Initially known as Backrub, Google began as a research project of Larry Page, who enrolled in Stanford's computer science graduate program in 1995. There, he met fellow CS student Sergey Brin. The two stayed in touch as Page began looking into the behavior of linking on the World Wide Web. Page conceived a system that would crawl the internet to determine which pages were linking to other pages, posting that it could lead to a new creation of a new kind of search engine. September 4, 1998. Google incorporates with $100,000 in angel funding. Inspired by the vast number of links between pages and how their search engine would only become more accurate and useful as the web continued to grow, Page and Brin renamed the company after the mathematical term Google, a 1 followed by 100 zeros. August 2001. Schmidt made the chairman of adult supervision. In 2001, Page and Brin recruited Eric Schmidt to run Google. The company was only a few years old, but it was rapidly growing and it needed guidance. Or as Brin said in a Charlie Rose interview that year, adult supervision. Schmidt had a seasoned background in engineering and worked as the CTO of Sun and then the CEO of Novel before coming to Google. Summer 2002. Yahoo tries and fails to buy Google for $3 billion. The early 2000s would prove to be as big and defining years for Google. Long before Google became a verb, Yahoo was the premier internet search engine. As Google began to gain popularity, it even became Yahoo's search engine provider in 2000. August 19, 2004, Google goes public. Following an initial investment of $100,000, Google subsided on a series of other angel investments, including one from Amazon founder and CEO Jeff Bezos. February 8, 2005, Google Maps launches. Maps can be useful and fun, said Google when it first introduced Maps in 2005. The web-only renders provide step-by-step directions and zoomable maps with a smattering of business-like hotels available to search. January 27, 2006, Google launches its search engine in China. While Google has offered a Chinese language version of its websites for users in China. Since September 2000, that service was based in California and was subject to blockades and firewall shutdowns. April 14, 2007, Google acquires DoubleClick and cements its ad empire. Google established itself back in 2000 as a dominant force in web advertising with the launch of AdWords. That was the company's proprietary and automated digital auction system that let advertisers instantaneously bid on top sponsored spots on a search results page every single time a user typed in a selection of keywords into the search bar. September 2, 2008, Google launches the Chrome browser. Google hired several Mozilla Firefox developers, and together they made Chrome for Windows, which later came to other operating systems. It was still in beta version, but it already had sandbox tabs for faster and more stable browsing. January 5, 2010, Nexus 1 launches. The early days of Android were dominated by a lot of weird experiments. Companies like Motorola's Droid line, Samsung's early Galaxy phones, and HTC's Evo devices, all in theory, ran the same Android software. But Google's design was often buried under ugly and confusing skins and lackluster hardware. August 15, 2011. Google announces it's buying Motorola Mobility. No longer satisfied with leaving its hardware ambitions to partnerships with Android phone makers under the Nexus program, Google took a gamble when it acquired Motorola Mobility for $12.5 million in 2011. May 18, 2016, Google Assistant launches. Google may have been the last to launch a virtual assistant. reaching the market 2 years after Amazon's Alexa and nearly 5 years after Apple's Siri, but it has nearly caught up with both of them. July 18, 2018, Google fined by EU for monopolistic practices in Android. Google's reach and influence in today's world is so categorically unparalleled in modern businesses that it's understandable that the company has faced a number of legal challenges over the years related to privacy and anti-competitive practices, but none were quite as forceful as this past summer's $5 billion fine from the European Union for alleged Android antitrust violations. That's all for today. I hope you liked the video. If you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so that you never miss any amazing video from us.